The dwarves say stone never forgets. It remembers every strike, every sorrow buried within its heart. And somewhere in that endless dark, a king still waits among his treasures, his hands cold, his work unfinished. Today, on the Arda Chronicles, we'll descend into the forgotten depths beneath the mountains to uncover the untold tale of the Dwarf King's final resting place, a tomb of gold and silence, where pride became a curse and the hammer's echo still haunts the stone. There was a time before Erebor gleamed with gold, before Khazad-dûm rang with the laughter of its forges, when the dwarves carved their first kingdoms out of unyielding rock. They were young then, and their hearts burned with creation's fire. For Ule the Maker had kindled in them a love of shaping that no age could quench. Among them walked one who shone brighter than all, a craftsman whose skill bent even the hardest stone to beauty. His name is lost to us now, ground to dust beneath the weight of ages. The dwarves called him simply the Maker. He built cities in secret vales, bridges that defied gravity, and halls that sang with light. Yet none of these works pleased him, for every creation, no matter how grand, reminded him of imperfection. It is said that he began to dream of one final labor, a resting place that would outlast the world itself, a tomb wrought so flawlessly that even Mahal, the divine smith, might look upon it with envy. Thus began his obsession. He withdrew from kin and counsel, descending deep into the mountains where the world's bones are laid bare. Seasons turned to centuries. The sound of his hammering faded from memory, and in its absence, strange tremors were felt in the valleys above. Miners whispered that the earth itself was uneasy, that beneath their feet something vast and hollow stirred. The rivers darkened with silt, the air grew heavy with the taste of iron. Then, one night, a low note like the toll of a buried bell rolled through the roots of the mountain, a sound no dwarf could trace, but all felt in their bones. When dawn came, the tremors ceased. The Maker's forge was found cold, his anvil untouched, his tools scattered like bones. And where once his halls had stood, there gaped only a wound in the earth, black and deep as the end of days. A single rune was carved upon the last stone. Perfection is not given, it is taken. The dwarves sealed the cleft in terror, swearing never to return. But the mountain remembers its maker, and sometimes when the wind is still, it hums that same low note again, like a heartbeat trapped beneath stone. Long before Durin the Deathless awoke beside Khazad-dûm, another people delved the northern heights, a house of smiths who named themselves the Khazrim-nar, the Keepers of Fire. Their halls were not vast like Khazad-dûm, nor rich like Nogrod, but every wall was carved with runes of flame and craft. In those halls, the Maker reigned, not by crown or decree, but by the mastery of his hand. The songs of the elves speak little of him, for the Eldar did not walk those deeps. Yet even they tell of a light beneath the mountains, a glow like forge fire that never dimmed, and of voices chanting in rhythms older than speech. It was said the Maker could shape mithril as others work clay, folding the metal upon itself until it breathed. But creation, once perfect, longs to remain so, and what is perfect resists the touch of time. The Maker feared decay as other kings feared death. He devised a secret alloy, tempered in blood and starlight, meant to defy the years. He named it Sundrazar, the unweary metal. From it he forged crown and tomb alike, for he swore that his last rest would mirror the beauty of his first work. The Khazad-dûm pleaded with him to cease. No stone should seal its own heart, they warned, for even rock must breathe. Yet he would not listen. He built chambers without doors, pillars that bore the mountain's full weight upon their own perfection, and beneath all, a single sarcophagus, vast and unbroken, waiting for its master. Then came a trembling, not born of pick or hammer. Cracks ran through halls untouched by time. The eternal glow faltered. The Maker, fearing ruin, entered the tomb himself to mend what none else dared. He sealed the gates behind him, vowing to return when the final chisel mark was flawless. He did not return. When his people broke the seals at last, they found only silence, and the walls breathing slow, as if the mountain itself had taken a breath. The Sundrazar gleamed still, yet it seemed to watch them. One by one they fled, and their kingdom was swallowed by dust and legend. And so the Maker's name faded, but his work endured, a beauty so perfect it refused to die. Ages passed, kingdoms rose and crumbled, and the tongues of men filled the valleys where once the Khazad-dûm had sung. Yet in the deep north, where snow never thaws and the peaks pierce the clouds like spears, strange tales began to spread once more. Shepherds spoke of music under the earth, a single note that quivered through the bones of the mountain. No bird nested there, no stream ran pure. Even moss grew pale, as if the very stone had drawn its breath away. Among the dwarves of the Blue Mountains, there lived a wanderer named Bruni Stonehand, last heir of a forgotten house. He was no king, but a craftsman restless in spirit, haunted by stories of the Maker's lost forge. To him, perfection was not pride, but purpose, the echo of their Maker's own longing. And when word came of a hollow mountain whose belly hummed like a struck anvil, Bruni gathered a small company and set forth. The journey was long and bitter. They climbed through mists and storms, following a valley that seemed shaped by no natural hand. At its heart rose a cliff face smooth as glass, black as forged obsidian, and upon it, barely visible, was a single rune, carved deep, "Return not." But dwarves do not turn from stone. With picks and torches, they breached the seal, and the mountain breathed again for the first time in millennia. The air that poured forth was cold as the void, yet faintly sweet, like metal newly They found halls untouched by time, arches flawless, pillars glimmering with silver veins, every surface reflecting light like still water. It was as though the mountain itself had been carved from a single block of perfection. No dust lay upon the floors, no cobweb dared the corners. The silence was total, not the quiet of death, but of something waiting. Deeper they went, past bridges that spanned bottomless dark, and fountains that poured with no water, only mist that shimmered faintly blue. In the heart of the mountain, they came to a gate wrought of pure Sundrazar, seamless, doorless, flawless. At its center, an image, the Maker, hammer raised, face hidden behind a mask of gold. Bruni pressed his hand to the metal. It was warm. A low hum filled the air, the same buried tone that had haunted the valleys. Runes flared faintly along the walls, pulsing like veins beneath skin. The others fled, all but Bruni. He fell to his knees, overcome by the beauty, the unbroken symmetry, the terrible grandeur of the craft. And then, from within the sealed tomb, came the faint ring of a hammer. Once, twice, a third time, slower, heavier, and then silence. Bruni rose, trembling, his breath fogged before him. On the gate's surface, the reflection shifted, not his face, but another's. Looking back, he fled the mountain screaming. None believed. Long after Bruni's flight, the tomb slept again beneath the snows. Yet no rest endures where craft defies its maker. Deep in that sealed dark, the Sundrazar still pulsed faintly. Its light no longer gold, but the cold hue of stars drowned beneath ice. Stone remembered the hands that shaped it, and remembrance, in the end, is hunger. Then came a storm unlike any in living memory. Thunder split the peaks, and lightning struck the black face of the mountain. For the first time in ages, the rune that barred the gate cracked. Wind howled through the valleys, carrying the sound half song, half scream, the note of the Maker's hammer reborn. Within, the tomb awoke. The flawless halls shuddered. Veins of light crawled along the walls like molten veins, and the air filled with a rhythm, slow and terrible. From the sarcophagus at the mountain's heart rose a glow like living fire, but there was no warmth in it. The Maker's craft had endured the ages, his body entombed in metal that neither rotted nor burned. Yet the spirit within had not departed. Some say Mahal wept that day, for his child's gift had become his chain. When next the dwarves of the Blue Mountains came, drawn by quakes and strange lights, they found the entrance torn open, yet the way below unnaturally clear. No dust, no ruin, only perfection sharpened to menace. They descended, bearing torches and song, though their voices faltered as the echoes answered them in perfect unison, like mockery. At the tomb, they found the sarcophagus ajar. Upon the lid lay the Maker's hammer, still gleaming, still warm. And seated beside it, a figure wrought of metal and memory, the semblance of a dwarf king, eyes dark hollows, beard of silver strands fused in fire. His lips moved, though no breath stirred them. "Who are you," he asked, "that dare judge what is flawless?" The torches dimmed. Their bearer, oldest among them, dropped to his knees. "We are your sons, Lord. We came to honor you." "Honor?" The word rang like struck iron. "Then forge and suffer and never rest, else your works shall die, for the Maker rests not." The ground split. The centuries that followed washed clean the traces of the Maker's tomb. Snow buried the scar in the mountainside. Avalanches sealed what man and dwarf alike had feared to find. Kingdoms fell, and memory dimmed. Yet not all was lost. In the forges of Erebor, smiths spoke in whispers of a metal they could not name. Silver bright, harder than mithril, singing faintly under the hammer. None knew whence it came, for the veins that yielded it appeared and vanished like dreams. They called it the sleeper's gift, and some swore that when they shaped it, another hand moved with theirs. So it was that the Maker's craft endured, scattered like embers through the world. Each spark a wonder, each wonder a curse. For the Sundrazar bore his longing within it, the desire to make unchanging that which was meant to fade. Those who worked it found their hearts restless, their nights unquiet. They saw perfection in their sleep and woke with tears, their hands trembling for the forge. Some called it inspiration, others called it doom. And still, on certain nights, when the wind is still and the stars burn white over the northern heights, a sound drifts faintly through the snow. Not thunder, not earth shift, but a measured ring of metal echoing deep below. 3 strokes and silence. The old dwarves nod gravely when they hear it. They say the Maker labors still, beneath stone and shadow, shaping a world where nothing breaks, nothing fades. But the wise know better. They know that the beauty of Middle-earth lies not in what endures, but in what passes. The leaf that falls, the song that ends, the light that fades and returns. And somewhere, perhaps, the Maker knows it too. For when the mountains quake in spring and rivers break their frozen chains, the low hum of the deep seems softer, less a curse, more a sigh, as if the heart beneath the world has learned at last to rest.